everybody. Welcome to Whispers on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 6:09 p.m., about 47 degrees out here in downtown Wheeling.
Yeah, it sure has gone downhill all day.
Went from 70 to 40, but at least it's not snowing tonight.
It did hail in Glen Easton today.
Did it really?
Did you see that hail from the northern panhandle of Texas? The one that was like just feet deep. It was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I've been in Denver, actually. In the spring, June, my nephew was born. I was there for, right after he was born. It hailed so badly that, I'm walking around in sandals and shorts with hail up past my ankles.
Oh, my God.
It was ridiculous.
That's crazy.
It's Colorado.
Yeah, I can figure.
Yeah.
Give us a call, 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area, 1-866-514-1600. I'm Jordan Klein here with Nick Queen, Lola Miller, and joining us today in the studio, West Finley's guitar player, Eric Woods.
Hello.
How you doing, Eric?
You sound like me. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
I know,
I'm here.
Check out Eric's band, West Finley.
Also Jordan's band.
I was going to say that's
Jordan's
your band as well.
I was trying to nonchalantly promote it here. Thank you.
He tries not to mention his name when in association with the band because he doesn't want to diminish the image.
Who doesn't he want mad? Yeah. The band or
anybody listening?
The band's like, we don't want you to be associated with us.
All right, we got a bunch of stuff going on tonight. We have first hour, Mr. Dwayne Claude. Second hour, we're going to be joined with Mr. Anthony Atha with Morgantown Paranormal Conferences and Miss Amanda Deschong.
Do you want to tell the good news that we're paid at the prison?
Yeah, we're paid at the pen.
Good.
We're good.
So everybody paid. Everybody's signed up. Everybody can go.
I went today and did all the final registers.
Good.
Oh, I'm excited, Lo.
Oh, you guys, I'm just dying to laugh at y'all. I know how it's going to be,
I am like this close to getting Marianne there too.
Oh, come off it.
She's bending.
I need to talk to her. That is not the place to start your married life off in.
What happened now? Why can't Marianne come? I don't understand.
What? No, he wants to get married.
No,
Marianne.
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about getting married. And I thought, well, all
You
right.
got me worried. I'm
Marianne's
like, what is she
not
talking
coming.
about?
Marianne is not coming because I told Marianne I don't want anybody going because they feel that they have to do it or they're punking.
Peer pressure?
Yes,
Peer pressure
because
bad?
then they go, they're there, they're not happy, we're locked in.
Well, see,
and it's
she
just gonna make
wants to
everybody
go.
miserable.
She's just scared.
Well, and so let her be scared. I mean,
Sometimes
it's like
you gotta
Eric
get over your
Balancic,
fear.
All-American Eric Balancic. I'm not going there. Oh, some spirit might follow me home. I'm not going there.
He's a track star. He can run.
Well, that's kind of my thought, too. He's big and bad. He could beat it up.
Some of those hallways are long. He can get a good sprint going.
And vault over the wall.
Yeah.
That could be amusing.
John's telling him that just afterwards run into a church and then sneak out the back door, trick him.
Oh, that would.
All right.
All right.
Anyway, I'm sorry. That's John. That's not me. I'm just
Blame that one
don't
on
shoot
John.
the messenger. All right. Tonight, first off, we got Mr. Dwayne Claude. He is a demonologist, a paranormal investigator, and an author. His books Baptism by Fire, Rochester Haunts, and a DVD, The Demonic Haunting. Dwayne, you with us?
I'm with you.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Are you folks by any chance talking about Moundsville?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
I actually got engaged in Moundsville on one of those ghost hunts.
Really?
See, and
So there's nothing wrong.
Lola just told me I wasn't allowed to get married there, although, I got to find a girl to marry first.
When the first one
Well, I
went
thought he was keeping a secret here, but
wasn't the first one we went to someone got married there? I think there was one.
Yeah, I think
something happened like that happened.
One of the trips we went, a couple got married out front. They were wearing like gothic dresses. It was kind of scary.
She was dressed like Elvira, I think. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So you got engaged there?
Got engaged there on a ghost hunt one night.
So how did that work? You kind of got an EVP. It was like, will you marry me?
I wish I would have thought that way. It was actually just after we heard a banshee scream in the middle of the night that I ended up popping the question a little bit later. And that's a fantastic place. It really is.
Oh, yeah. We're really excited about our trip there this year. Next month.
Yeah, May 22nd. So it's now you've been. How many times have you been to the prison?
I've only been there once.
Oh, okay.
But it was really quite the experience. I always wanted to go to the cemetery, though, that was on top of the mound. I'd never made it there.
I'm a big guy, so that's a long walk.
Well, the funny thing is, when we went down there, we'd actually picked a hotel to stay in, and we ended up staying in a haunted hotel room at the same time.
Really?
And what are the chances of doing that?
I was going to ask what the hotel is, but that might not be.
Okay, what's the hotel?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It was so long ago. I almost think it was called like the Mound or something. It was only a couple miles from the penitentiary.
So now, what happened in the hotel room? I mean, I have to ask.
Well, it's funny. There was actually 4 of us in the room, and one of the things that happened in the middle of the night was it's a small room, so we had some people sleeping on the floor, and my fiance and I were in the same bed, and throughout the night, the people on the floor seen a shadow figure walking through the room, and at one point sat down on the bed next to us. And of course, instead of telling anybody, what do? They pull the covers over their head.
He'll deal with it.
See, I'd pull the cover over my head and cry.
They could have left you. They could have just ran out of the room, I guess. But
that's true if we hadn't barricaded the doors. But but it was really a great experience, and just lots of creepy things happened throughout the night. Just some different noises, and wake up every so often to see something kind of walking across the room out of the corner of your eye. But it's really wasn't anything bad. It was just just some energy left over from something else there.
now,
Dwayne, you classify yourself as a demonologist. Can you explain for our listeners what that is, what that means?
Well, there's actually a couple different kinds of demonologists. Most people equate demonology with religious demonologists, or people who are priests or clergy or different men of the cloth or women of the cloth that basically study the field of demons from a religious standpoint. I'm really what you consider a lay demonologist. I'm not clergy. And what I basically end up doing is working with individuals who are involved with extreme hauntings that have a lot of bad things happening to them, and sometimes they're spirits, sometimes they're demonic in nature. And basically what I do as a demonologist is help them get through that process, possibly put them in touch with the people that they need to be in touch with. And on rare occasions, have done deliverances. But that's kind of really what I do. Usually when people think of demonology, they think that you're only dealing with the demonic, but on the same token, I'm also dealing with the other side as well. Demonology is actually just a part of angelology, the study of angels. So, there's a balance there between the two. And really, it takes a lot for me to come in and tell somebody they have a demonic haunting going on, because those tend to be a lot nastier than just mean spirits.
so now, out of all the cases you go to, how many times does it ends up being a demon?
It's very rare. Very rare. I mean, a lot of times the individuals that end up contacting me, a lot of them will have psychological issues that I either end up having them consult with a priest or have them talk to a counselor. Then I never hear from them again. Sometimes there's cases where there's just an aggressive spirit. I would say that maybe less than 5%, maybe 10% of the cases that I actually deal with tend to be a true demonic case. And there's lots of earmarks that really I look for when those cases come up. And unlike a lot of these other investigations where you're dealing with ghosts, they're a lot more intensive, they're a lot more long-term. For the most part, a lot of these cases will run initially at least 8 or 9 months, if not longer. I mean, I have one case right now that it's been over 2 years I've been working with. And it's a much longer-term process, and there's a lot of care after the fact. So there's quite a bit of difference when they do occur.
Now, can you, how do I want to say this? I want you to elaborate on some cases.
Okay.
if you can, because I think if somebody calls a demonologist, like you said, it is the aggressive spirits, it is the demons, as you said. I'm really curious on what these cases are like, how you go about them, what's going on. Can you share some with us?
Absolutely. One that I'm working on right now, which has been in the process for about 2.5 years. There's a house that I'm working with here in Western New York that has a long, torrid history to it. The house itself is actually sit on top of an old battlefield, and after basically what began to happen with these folks was initially they were having some paranormal activity. They were seeing some figures walking across the backyard. The neighbors actually would see them as well. And this really got more drawn to their attention, of course, after, some of the television shows came out. So they decided that they were going to do some of their own paranormal investigation. Mm-hmm. So they went out, started snapping some pictures, got some really strange pictures. We're getting some EVPs and different things like that. What they found was after they began to do that, different things began to happen around the house. For instance, they began to see faces. They'd take pictures and they would capture something. Now, you know what? That can happen with spirits too. So we'll just kind of set that aside. But other things began to happen in the house. For instance, for a long period of time, the doorbell would ring at 3 o'clock in the morning 3 times.
Oh, jeez.
They began to have these awful smells come through the house, smells of feces and urine and sulfur, and then they'd be gone as quickly as they came. They also began to have a real heavy feeling in the house where it was almost like walking into quicksand. So all these different things began to happen for them. There was one night when the homeowner was talking to me on the phone about everything that was going on. She hung up the phone, and something slapped her across the face, hard enough to cause a bloody nose to happen. Her husband seen it happen. So all these different things began to happen. So we actually went out, we did an investigation, caught a lot of interesting things. But one thing that we found was, as we were doing this investigation, we were at an area outside the home and doing some EVP work, went back and listened to it, and there was actually something that began to growl at us. We actually went to it a little bit further into the EVP, and there were some things saying the nastiest things that you'd ever hear.
Really?
F and this, F and that. And, I mean, just basically threatening to kill and all sorts of really bad things. Well, we went back and actually began to do some research on the property. Now, the property was actually on top of a battlefield, but it was also a concentration camp for the Native Americans during the Revolutionary War. So you know that lots of nasty things happened there. Prior to the house being there was actually an old farmhouse. Well, as we began to go through some newspaper articles, we discovered that there was a 10-year-old boy that had hung himself from a bunk bed back in the 1920s on the property. But as we continued to dig even farther and talk with the homeowners, they had begun to tell us that after they had purchased the property, the house had been vacant for some time, so they knocked down the old farmhouse, built their house, and as they were in the process of building their house, there was a multiple string of deaths that began to occur around the property. They had a couple that actually pulled into their front driveway and killed themselves by carbon monoxide poisoning.
Wow. And like they just randomly drove up there?
Yeah. Just
no connection or anything at all to the house?
No, not at all.
Wow.
That's really scary.
It gets more scary in the fact that one of the gentlemen working on the house died in a car accident on the way to the house. Okay, maybe we can chalk it up as coincidence. But one of the people who was actually working on the furnace for the home went home one day, hung himself for no apparent reason. So now we have 2 documented hangings attached to the property. As time goes on, different things begin to now happen at the house.
Now, was the hanging in the same area of the house as the 10-year-old boy?
No. Actually, the gentleman went home to his own house, hung himself.
Oh, wow.
Just after being at the property. It got to the point where the mail people stopped delivering to the house because they felt uncomfortable pulling up in front of the driveway.
Jeez.
UPS refused to deliver there. But then what began to happen is a young child in the house began to go through some personality changes. He became very aggressive. Aggressive to the point where one day he lived with his grandparents, that the grandparents watched him change. His face began to contort. His eyes went black. He was 11 years old at the time, lifted a 250-pound recliner over top of his head.
What?
With a hole in the ceiling.
Wow.
He ended up knocking the teeth out of his grandmother. Taking a stereo across the face of his grandfather. Now, his grandfather is a good-sized man, 350 pounds. It took all the grandfather had to hold him down.
And how old was this boy?
11 years old.
Now, is he a pretty big boy for his size, or? I mean,
Does it matter?
Oh, okay.
At 11,
Well,
he could be 150 pounds, and still, I mean, you've got,
I'm just wondering. I'm just,
you know.
Well, what ended up happening is they ended up calling the paramedics. They took the kid away. He got to the hospital. By the time in the hospital, he was fine. So they sent him home. 2 days later, it happens again. This time, he ends up being put into the psychiatric unit. While at the psychiatric unit, they begin to pump him full of all of this medication, massive amounts of anti-anxiety, antidepressants, and tranquilizers, enough from what I've been told and the paperwork I've seen to put down 3 people. Didn't touch the kid a bit. Matter of fact, while he was in the hospital, he ended up injuring 12 people, breaking arms, breaking noses, and he, at one point, threw a nurse down the hallway.
Sounds like a kid I used to work with.
I mean, the doctor told me that he watched him pick the nurse up over his head and throw her down the hallway.
Oh, my gosh.
And at that point, I was called back in again and ended up going to the hospital to talk with the boy. And my wife went with me, who's also a psychic medium. And while at the hospital, we began to do some prayer work with him. And as we were sitting there in a prayer circle with him, I look up to him, and I watch his eyes just roll to the back of his head, and he gets this great big smile on his face while we're doing this. Now, as we're going along, I'm recording this audio as well, and all this sorts of stuff starts to come up with the EVP later on when I listen to it. I bless his forehead before I leave, and it burns his forehead as I do it with the holy water. Now, I know this is stuff that sounds like out of the horror flicks, but this is happening.
That's crazy.
I actually ended up having to go back to see him a second time. After the second time, he actually calmed down enough to get sent home. They sent him home. He was home for a couple of months before things started to act up again. This time, he's going after. I mean, the grandparents are watching his eyes turn pitch black. His face changes to something else. His voice changes.
Now, real quick, is that characteristic that their eyes turn black?
Absolutely. I mean, if you ever if you ever encounter a type of possession or channeling or anything like this, a lot of times what will happen is the eyes will turn black. And when you look at the eyes, it'll look like there's nothing behind them. I mean, it's almost like it's a soulless face looking back at you. And in many ways it is.
Wow.
This kid now starts to, the way he talks changes now when he's under this influence. He starts spitting out words that are Latin, names that are Latin. All these different things are beginning to happen. He's now trying to kill the family pet by suffocation. And if you kind of look back at this whole scenario, there's been a lot of deaths associated with it, housed due to suffocation.
Yeah.
Carbon monoxide, the hangings. It was. We actually got the Catholic Church involved about 2 months ago. from the moment we called the Catholic Church, things got worse. The anger at the house and the violence at the house increased. Began to affect the family more.
Now, why do you think that is? Why did calling or involving the church increase it so much?
Well, what tends to happen is now you're threatening what's there. You're threatening what's there, and that there's now a possibility that it's not going to be able to remain where it is to try and achieve what it's trying to achieve, whatever that may be. Because for these entities to take residence in a home or on property or even eventually in a person, and that is extremely rare, there has to be some sort of grounds that are there, some reason that it's been let in. It's a number of people can go into a location that has demonic activity, but it has to be a person that has the right doors open in order for it to affect them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, if somebody who walks in that has everything together in their life and everything is perfect, they can walk into a place and have nothing bother them, where this child has gone through so much in his life before this happened. I mean, when you go down through his records, there's been cases of sexual abuse and assault and all sorts of really bad things. Not to mention to the fact that at one point during this whole long program, this case, the family began to do some spirit communication as well. At one point they were doing knockings on the walls where they could sit inside the house, ask for responses, and they would hear poundings from the outside. I was there one night when it happened. We sent investigators outside to make sure nobody was knocking on the walls. Sure enough, there was nobody out there, and we were getting raps in response.
Mm-hmm.
We set it up, give us one rap for yes, two for no. But all that stuff began to happen. And by beginning to involve the church, now the entity began to feel threatened because it was not going to be able to remain where it wanted to stay.
Now, were you ever able to get it to give you maybe its name or something like that? I mean, I know you hear that in the movies, what's your name? And
actually it gave us 3 names. Because whenever there's an entity involved like this, there's never just one. There's always multiple ones. And sometimes even multiple ones will split to make more. But usually, in my experience, there's always been 3. Usually the ones that make the most noise are the least powerful, and the ones that remain the quietest are really the ringleaders, I guess you'd put it. The way that I kind of look how the demonic is all put together is it's a lot like an army. You have your grunt soldiers up to your lieutenants and captains. So you have the demons that do a lot of the dirty work, but then you also have a hierarchy of power above it too. And every case is different as far as what's involved. But what ends up being involved with this case are some very powerful entities.
And
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I can just throw these in real quick and let you go from there. But 6 weeks ago, the boy's 14-year-old cousin came to the house. A few days later, went home, hung herself.
Jeez.
So this is a case you're working on right now, kind of. It's not something that happened like years ago.
No.
This is happening as we speak.
Why do these people not move? I mean, honest to God, even if I didn't believe in this kind of stuff, why would you stay when all of these things are happening?
Let me give you one more before I answer that. This past Saturday morning, I get a phone call.
Oh, my God. Don't tell me.
The son-in-law has now hung himself.
Oh, man. So that's, let me see. Let me make sure I've got this right. There's been four hangings?
4 hangings?
Four hangings. A couple, an older couple that is not even associated with the house, killed themselves. Asphyxiation, carbon monoxide poisoning. The
furnace guy.
The furnace guy hung himself, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we've got at least 4 documented hangings and at least 6 cases of death related to suffocation.
All right, so it's 10 people have died associated with this property.
That we know of.
And I mean, and probably more, injuries and just, I mean, just pain, suffering.
What tends to happen with cases like this is that, for one reason or another, people are allowed into the property. I dealt with a case a number of years ago where this couple was drawn to this property. It was actually a triangular house, and the couple were both disabled, didn't have much money, but they just were drawn to the house. They wanted to go see it, so they went and looked at it. It was way out of their price range, but they still put a purchase offer in on it. Well, somehow, some way, they got approved for a $250,000 house.
Well, we know how that happens.
Both on disability checks. That was actually before all of the the mortgage stuff.
Okay,
This was about 15 years ago. But what happened was, no matter what happened each month, they always found a way to pay the rent, to pay the lease. But whenever they went to try and better things so they could sell the house, so they could get out of the house, drastic things would happen. People would get hurt. Something would come up where they'd have to spend their money elsewhere. They'd have terrible runs of bad luck. That's what's happening in this case as well. I mean, the family, yes, it was their dream home. Now they're ready to up and move, but for one reason or another, things begin to happen that prevent them from doing that. And I'll be honest, I don't know if them leaving the property would solve the situation, because what's going on right now is more involving the boy at this point than the property itself.
And it's still happening even when he goes to the doctor or the hospital,
Exactly.
wherever he's at. So it's more now the demons moved from possessing or the house and moving to possessing him.
Well, it's not like, if I'm hearing it right, it's not like the the Amityville case, where they all left and the demonic stopped with the house. It left them as they left the property. It's following them around.
Right, and in many cases that's exactly what you can do, is just let's go ahead and leave. But for some reason, somehow, and God only knows why, it's chosen to grab onto this young boy. And like you said, even when he goes to the hospital, it happens with the boy at the hospital. I mean, it's gotten to the point where the psychiatrists involved with the situation and the doctors involved say, we don't know what's going on with this boy. We can find no scientific reason why it's happening. When something happens from now on, call Dwayne, because we can't help you right now.
Now, have you been trying, and I'm sure you have, but been trying to cleanse the house? Or, I mean...
We've actually done 2 cleansings on the house. What happens is it's really good for 3 or 4 months, and then it comes back.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit, and you were saying this earlier, but it's somebody that's kind of empty. I know in the Bible it talks about an empty vessel. One demon, you kick out the one demon, and then 7 more will come because the house is empty. Mm-hmm. Is that something? I know the Catholic Church has been involved, but I mean, does that seem like? And that means that there's even more that comes back after the cleansing. Is that something you've noticed, or?
Well, we've done. Unfortunately, up to this point, have not been able to do a lot of direct work with the boy. That's something that's down the line a little bit, because the church does take its time with situations like this. But with the house itself, I would have to say yes. And part of the problem is when you cleanse the house and you bless the land, what's happening is you're bringing that same agent back in, because you've done nothing to work with the boy yet.
Sure.
So he's just kind of bringing that right back in. So it's really gotten to the point of, okay, well, we've tried the least evasive thing at this point of, trying to bless the land and bless the house. Now we need to start to work directly with the boy at this point.
Now, how old is the boy now? I know you said he was 11 years old.
Well, he actually turns 14 in July at this point.
Okay, so this has been going on for that long. Now, is there any evidence of something like a Ouija board being used at the house that possibly opened up a kind of a doorway to this, or other activity that could that traditionally has been a doorway to the paranormal, this kind of stuff happening?
Sure. Well, yes and no.
Okay.
From my experience, places that have a lot of negativity to them will tend to draw the same. Like attracts like. So when you have a battlefield like that where there's been so much atrocity, that'll draw the negativity. But what's also happened at this point is because they became so interested, they began the spirit communication. And even just by knocking on the walls, communicating that way, you don't know what you're communicating with. At one point, somebody did bring a Ouija board onto the property. I've had a couple mediums there at the property who've known nothing about what's going on. Both of them go to the same area and say, this area here at some point, there was some sort of satanic ritual performed. Can you verify that? No. But you know what? Something tells me if you have a house that sits vacant long enough and there's rumors of it being haunted, somebody at some point in time is going to break in there and do something.
Oh, yeah. I'm teenagers.
All old homes are haunted, compared to teens.
Yeah.
Right. So, is there anything truly that I can verify? Other than a Ouija board being brought onto the property at one point and used in the front yard, and them doing knocking, there really isn't anything else that we can trace it back to.
So now I would guess this is probably the worst case that you've been dealing with. It sounds pretty crazy. Now I know you have a book. We mentioned at the beginning, Baptism by Fire. And I'm sure you're talking about cases in there. What kind of cases are you talking about in there?
Well, one of the first cases that's in the book is actually in how I got started in demonology, and it wasn't by choice. It was more of something that was kind of chosen for me. A long time ago, when Mansfield Reformatory started doing ghost hunts, I got the idea that I always wanted to go on a ghost hunt, so a few of us went out to Mansfield and went on a ghost hunt, and of course the only person who wanted to experience anything didn't experience anything. But while I was out there, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the organizers at the time, and when I was out there, they were telling me about another piece of property in Ohio that was the way that they described it to me was if you took all the psychic and ghostly energy that's in Mansfield Reformatory and boiled it down into a small little farmhouse, that's the best way to describe the type of activity that was there. So a couple years later, we'd actually taken a small team, there's probably about 8 or 10 of us, from New York out to Ohio to this mansion that was out there. And it should have been an omen for me along the way because I drove down Route 666.
Oh, jeez.
But, the night before we get there early and stay at a hotel room, and we do everything wrong that we possibly could do wrong because we didn't know any better. No, we're in a hotel room. So, of course, somebody brought a couple Ouija boards with them.
A couple?
And a couple.
You need more
one wasn't enough.
One for each hand, you gotta...
There we go.
The more the merrier.
So brave me sits down at a Ouija board with someone else who's worked one before. And as I'm sitting down there, the planchet starts to move around, and they ask who's there, and the thing starts saying 666. And the person using the board says, okay, don't want to talk to you. Only the highest and best are to come here, so tell me, what's your name? And it starts to spell out D-E-M. It's like, okay, I'm done. I'm walking away from the board. Of course, I didn't really know any better, so I went over to the other board, figuring, well, maybe it's a defective Ouija board. So I sit down at the other Ouija board. I no sooner put my hand on the planchet, and the planchet shoots across the room.
Oh.
So I said, okay, I'm done for the night. I'm just going to be a spectator. So I'm just kind of watching these other people use the Ouija board, and they're asking all sorts of questions. Are we going to see ghosts this weekend? And yes. And what are we going to see? And then it spells out green eyes. Well, nobody else in the room knew what green eyes meant, but when I talked with a paranormal investigator who had worked the property, they told me that they would often see green eyes in the basement. So there was something there that was happening that nobody else knew. And as they went on, they said, well, is anybody going to get hurt this weekend? And I said, yes. And then they said, well, who's going to get hurt? And it says DC, which are my initials.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so we decided we were going to be done for the night. So the next night we go and we do the investigation, and as we're there, probably within the first 45 minutes of being there, I had something push me down the stairs. Now, it was only a flight of maybe 3 or 4 steps, but it was enough for me to twist my ankle that night. So I'm just kind of thinking to myself, it's kind of strange. But as we're going through the night, we went into one room that was actually a servant's quarters. And while we're in the servants' quarters, there was probably 4 or 5 of us there. While we're there, people are starting to get poked in the back around the room. So as this began to happen, I stepped up and said, okay, you're not allowed to touch any of us. Well, we went back and listened to the EVP recorder that was running that night in that room. And I can't really say because we're on broadcast radio, but, it said give them a male sexual organ is basically what it said, which we didn't find out until the ride home as we listened to the EVP. But what happened later that night was a little bit more even unnerving. As we were upstairs having all this stuff happen to us, there was a 16-year-old girl that had come with us that was having her own situation go on. She was being touched in another area of the house, and she had some degree of psychic ability. Well, I went down, and as I go down into the main hallway where she is, she's now walking like somebody has their hand against the back of her neck. Her neck is scrunched up, and she's looking up, and she's walking in circles, saying, I can't stop this. Something's making me do this.
Jeez.
So we begin to escort her off the property. And as we're escorting her off the property, she wants to go down into the basement. Well, I found out later on that down in the basement, there was actually a pentagram down on the floor that
she was walking around in circles in the same place the pentagram was.
Uh-huh.
Oh!
Yep.
Oh, I guess that was horrible.
It's horrible.
So as we're going outside, she's now saying, I see this dark shadow figure over top of me. So we start praying with her. We get her off the property, drive her, and she drives off. Well, the rest of the night, nothing happened with any of us. But things didn't stop for that girl there. On the way home, they actually stopped about 2 hours later, and as they're going up to a hotel room, the mother of the girl looks behind them to see that shadow figure walking behind them.
Oh. Now, were you driving back up? I have to ask. Were you driving back up 666?
Yes, they were.
Oh, I would have picked another route.
No, you got like all of my hair is like standing up on end, and I'm a balding man, so.
But the next day they drive home, and as they're getting home, the daughter or the mother's in the back seat, and the daughter's in the front driving with her boyfriend next to her, and it's near dark. And as they're getting closer and closer to home, the girl grabs the back of her neck and like it was in pain, and something just stabbed me in the back of the lower back as well.
Oh.
So they didn't think too much about it. Being in the car for a long time, maybe it's just some aches and pains. But then the mother of the daughter looks next to her to see a shadow figure looking at her. And I know this sounds strange, but gave her a little wave like, here I am. She turns back to look at it again. It's gone. But when they get home...
Was this in the
girl,
car?
This is in the car.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, when they got home, they checked the girl. She had what looked like a burn on the back of her neck and also a burn on her left side in the lower back. For the next 6 months, this thing terrorized not only that family, but everybody else who went on that trip. I mean, they would wake up to bed shaking at night. They would wake up to something sitting in bed with them, voices. I actually have videotape of a shadow figure going in and out of bedrooms at somebody's house that went to this. My fiance was attacked, and she never went on the trip. It got to the point with her where there was poundings on the wall all night. There was growling happening at her house, hair being pulled, all sorts of really nasty things. And, I was terrorized too. I remember laying in bed one night and having my bed just lifted up and down off the ground,
Now, how do you deal with it? Like, what do you do? What are you supposed to do if you're in that situation?
Like, do you do anything to protect
I'll
yourself?
I'll tell you what I did that night. I pulled the covers over my head and turned the lights on.
Did you cry?
It didn't work. I might have whimpered a little bit.
Now, what do you do going into it, like Eric just does, like to protect yourself? Do you do anything like spiritually? Do you use your faith to help you?
Now I do. I didn't know then. I was lucky enough to have actually a demonologist to help me through the entire situation. And as a result of that, I've had a lot of people find me as a result that are having problems. But what I tell people is when you're going on an investigation, whether you're going in there with scientific equipment or as a medium or whatever the case is, take that stuff with you, but you got to carry your faith in your back pocket because you never know what you're going to run up against. And, what I always do is I always say a prayer of protection before I go into a building. And that prayer is really dependent upon your own faith. If you're Christian, do Christian prayers. If you're Wiccan, then you do a Wiccan ritual or whatever the case may be. But whatever that higher power is, look to it for protection. And when you leave, you do the same thing. You do a cleansing. Whatever's there stays there.
Yeah, that's
not
what we do.
To come home with you.
Yeah, that's what we used to do when we went. Pray before you go in, pray after you go in. Don't take anything with you. I mean,
pray while you're in there.
We're going on this trip to the pen, and we have some people that are a little afraid that something's going to follow them home. What are the chances?
This is going to be a high number.
Well, I would say the chances of something following you home are pretty slim. It does happen, though. I've had things follow me home even when I've done cleansing prayers afterwards. And really what you do is you just revoke whatever permission that you may have given it to come with you and just tell it needs to leave. It's not welcome there. And
good call.
And it goes. Even though these things are beyond our comprehension sometimes, and we can't really prove whether or not that they're there scientifically yet, they still seem to follow a law. There still seems to be rules that they follow, and faith is a very powerful thing. Wow. I mean, the circumstances I went through, and a lot of the people that go through these,
I'd be scared to death. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared just listening to your stories. So, if I was put in that situation, I don't want to say I'd pee my pants, but probably.
Well, I was forced to either find my faith or was going to break it, and that's what a lot of people have to do. And I'd be lying if I told you that there weren't places that I went into that I wasn't scared. But fear can be a good thing, in that it keeps you alert and keeps you on top of your game. I mean, there's nothing that upsets me more when people don't have fear, because with all these TV shows now, you see individuals going into these haunted places, and they're being taught to go in there and provoke things. You call them names, you yell at them to get some sort of response. Well, I've witnessed, 250-pound hockey players brought to their knees by doing that. And
I have to hear that story.
You never know. I mean, this wasn't demonic. It was a spirit. We were in a bed and breakfast, and this guy who was with me was an ex-hockey player and had some degree of sensitivity. And he's going through the place, and he feels the spirit, and he's getting upset because the spirit's always just staying a little bit out of his reach where he can't quite get the information that he wants. And he finally got to the point of saying, you know what, I'm going to stay in this place until you give me a sign that you don't want me here anymore. Within 30 seconds, he felt something around his throat. He was down on his knees, couldn't breathe.
So that's important safety tip number one.
Well, what I tell people is if you're asking for a presence, be very specific.
Yeah.
Knock on the wall. Otherwise, they may just, give you a shove or, in this case, take the wind from you. I mean, we were lucky enough to get him out of the house and off the property a little bit, and he was fine. But you don't know what you're dealing with.
Have you used religious provocation?
In that case, I did, and that's just me.
Now, what are the different results that you get when you just provoke or you do religious provocation? Like whether or not you say, "Come on, tough guy," or in the name of Jesus, do it now. What are the different results that you get?
What I have found is that when you're just outright provoking something, there's no kind of shield for you. There's no kind of defense for you. It's going to come right at you.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm working with an entity that I'm commanding to leave, I'm actually putting a shield in front of me. I call it a shield of faith. I mean, so, you know, what's going to get through me is what God or whatever higher power wants to get through to me for some reason. And I know I'm getting kind of theological on this, but unfortunately, when you deal with demonology, you have to talk a little religion. But when you provoke, you don't have anything between you and the spirit. I mean, you're asking for something you can't see to come at you one-on-one. Sometimes it will if it has enough energy.
All right. I have a question.
Sure.
It seems to me that I don't watch these paranormal shows on a regular basis, but, you know, every once in a while somebody will say, oh, you got to watch that, particularly the Penn State one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me you should have your own show because you have far more interesting stories with actual results. I mean, things are touching your people, and they're, wow, with Penn State, it's like, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that little knock? And it's like, wow, okay. You know, I just sat here and invested 27 minutes. And
you could have watched an 11-year-old throw a recliner at somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, you know, is this normal course of things, or do most of yours have little or no reaction, and these are just the really good stories?
Well, I mean, these are the really good stories, but...
You should write a book.
He did.
He did.
There's going to be another one. But, you know, what I find is it's either one gamut or the other. It's either going to be really, really active like this, or there's going to be very little. And this is really a topic for another show, but demonic hauntings go through different stages. There's an infestation stage where it's where they basically infiltrate the home or the person's life. It's like when cockroaches come into a house. You don't know you have them until you have 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
That's when you see the first one. And then it goes from infestation to oppression, where it begins to separate the family to finally possession. So, I mean, as you go through the stages is when things get much deeper and much more powerful. So not all of them are like this. Usually you can stop them earlier, and if you catch them earlier on, you know, there are less things happening.
Now, here's another question for you. We're running out of time here, and I want to make sure one of our listeners, let's say, needs some help.
Mm-hmm.
How would they get in contact with you?
Well, easiest way is to go to my website, and they can email me from there. And my website is DwayneClaud.com, and it's DWAYNECLAUD. Or you can go to my other website, which is WNYParanormal.com. Either one of those they can contact me at.
Okay, now, and then your books, we have those linked up on our website, but your books are there on your website, Dwayne Claude, and books are Baptism by Fire, which is your the story of a demonologist, Rochester Haunts, a ghost hunter's guide. Then you have some books coming out, you said. Is that the Finger Lake Haunts?
Yeah, I have a Finger Lake Haunts coming out in October, and then a Southern Tier New York haunted book that's coming out first part of next year. And I also anticipate first part of next year another demonology book at some point.
Okay.
Well, we're definitely going to have you back on with us. This was fun, and I want to get in deeper with you. And it's
sure.
Yeah. After the Penn trip, just very quickly. So I should not go in there and yell, "Hey, you son of a bitch! Why don't you come out and show me?" Or should I go
hit the button
and just? I did not. I can say that.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
And hey, I do this for a living.
That's true.
Or should I go in and play like music from, say, like the 40s or the 30s when a lot of those evil guys were in there, and try and lull them into doing something?
Well, if you go in and say the first thing you said, take my phone number with you.
Okay.
But I would just say, whenever you go into a place like this, go into it with reverence and respect, and that's what you're going to get back.
All right. Okay.
Now, would it help if we brought in music? Because we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Would it help us?
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of groups that have seen a lot of results when you play music from that time, where the activity will actually increase. I've never tried that.
Yeah, I think that's what
we're going to have
try.
you back on after we get done, because we're going to want to talk with you about it.
You should come down to the prison with us. We should have asked him.
Oh, I'd love to.
If you want to come, May 22nd.
May 22nd.
We can throw you in.
I need you.
Lola's going to make a mistake.
Yes, probably several.
Well, we'll be in contact with you. Thank you very much, Dwayne.
Thanks for having me.
It's great. We've enjoyed it, and thank you.
All right.
We'll be right back. It's time to what we got 7 news.
No.
No?
What are you talking about? We just have news.
We have news.
News.
We have news. AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 7:09 p.m., 47 degrees. But according to Lola's little clock on her desk, it's 74 degrees.
I don't think we can believe
Yeah,
that.
that's down in Miami.
Give us a call, 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area. 1-866-514-1600. Little change of plans today. We were going to have Amanda DeShong on to do some readings. Some things came up. She's unable to join us today, but we will have her back on soon.
I did talk to Stefan Watanabe.
Yeah.
He does want to come on with her, and unfortunately he wasn't able to come on. He's doing some photo shoots or something.
See, it's
So
psychic.
it's all
They
connected.
both knew.
He said that within the next couple of weeks he would be able to come on. That he's open for it, so it's going to be great.
That's going to be good.
He's excited for it.
It's going to be interesting, the meeting of the, what do I want to say? Spirits?
Minds. Just say minds.
The meeting of the things.
Don't make it more confusing than it is.
We got a caller.
Well, yeah, we have Anthony is waiting on the line, but Paula is losing us, so she wants to ask a question now.
Okay, hey Paula, what's up?
Hey guys.
How you doing?
I'm excited, waiting for May 22nd.
I know, right?
My friend from Pittsburgh and I talk to each other every day, and we're like schoolgirls giggling. And she's going to bring the holy water. I'm bringing the Depends. Where's that?
Put the holy water in one of those guns, the super soakers. It'll work a lot better.
There you go. Well, I said, if we get thirsty, we'll drink it, if nothing else.
Well, at least that means they can't possess you.
It's a bad joke.
Oh, man.
So, but hey, I think your last caller jinxed your airlines. I'm losing you guys. You guys, somebody mentioned Amityville.
Yeah,
Sure.
That
on the
was
last
me.
Call. That was you. And do people still live there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tour there?
Yes.
I heard you could, and I didn't know if that was true, but they have
didn't know you
some
could.
rooms blocked off you can't go into or something.
No, I don't know the details and stuff, but I've heard that they let people in to look around. And I'm not sure.
Now, I don't think anything's
Totally.
happening there now.
Yeah,
I think
nothing's happened
Okay.
for a long
since
time.
Bob was, I can't
Lutz.
remember. Yeah, the Lutz has left. I don't think anything really happened.
Okay.
So,
Where is that? We were trying to figure out what state it was in.
Amityville,
It's
New
like-
York.
New
New
York.
York.
Ocean
Okay.
Avenue, New York.
I was thinking Pennsylvania, and I
Avenue.
don't know why. So, okay.
Hey,
Thanks, guys.
no problem.
See you soon.
See you, Paula.
Bye.
Do you actually know the address of the Amityville?
Who are you
Warehouse?
talking to? Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was 111, but I didn't want to shoot that out there.
What?
Isn't it on Long Island?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the horror movie fan here?
Okay.
I don't watch anything else.
Now, is this the real address?
Although I did see
That's-
Marley and Me the other day, and I cried like a baby. All right, on the phone we got Mr. Anthony Atha. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How is
There he is.
everyone?
Awesome. Tell us what you got going on.
Okay, well, I have 2 new events that I'm excited to tell everyone about.
Now, what is your group called, real
first-
quick? Is it Morgantown Paranormal Conferences? What do you call your organization?
My company is called APG Conferences, and that stands for Atha Paranormal Group, and Atha is my last name.
Clever.
So, I mean,
Wow.
I didn't want to centralize us in one area by saying, like, Morgantown Paranormal Conferences
Yeah.
or
Sure.
anything
Well,
like that.
I apologize. I just know that was the name of the last thing you did, and I
You're
didn't
doing
wanna
so
mess it
much
up.
we can't keep up with you. That's,
Yeah, we're going to be skipping around here, so I don't want to stay in one area with the name.
Okay, what do we got going on?
Okay, well, the first thing I have coming up is on May 2nd, and psychic medium Susan Shepard from Parkersburg, West Virginia, is coming back up to Morgantown, and we are going to have a thing going on at the High Street Banquet Center, and she's going to be doing a gallery-style reading, a Victorian Seance, and the message circle where she attempts to contact family members who have passed on for people in the audience.
Now, what is a Victorian
And-
seance?
The Victorian Seance, she starts out every time with it. I guess it's kind of like a warm-up. It's where she contacts spirits in the building.
It's where she stretches.
Like when we did our one at the hotel.
Yeah.
She contacted some people who used to be long-term residents. I think she contacted a hotel employee. And she was talking about how the PA system is going to be getting worse and some really random stuff. But she usually starts out with centralizing spirits in the building, and then she just starts walking around, and that's when she starts to pick up on family members.
Now that's that one's going to be in Morgantown. We've actually had Susan Shepard on. She was a lot of fun. So
that's May 2nd. And
everybody's going to enjoy that if they go up, just to meet her. Now she also does the haunted Parkersburg and stuff. So she's really
she's a
really
busy lady too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
her floors are growing.
You got another big event coming up too, don't you?
Yeah. One more thing, real quick. Let me say that Susan's going to have her books, and she's going to have some hand-painted dolls. We're going to have our book and some hypnotherapy CDs. We have 3 front row tickets left and a bunch of general admission tickets. We've also done a promo code for Whispers. It's whispers12, and that is $5 off front row seats.
All right.
And you can get your
No, I have let me stop you there for just a second. I have linked up on our website the one to the second event. Can you send me a link, and when I get home, I'll link up the first event, so that people can go directly to that in order. If you don't mind doing that. Okay.
Yeah, I made for the loyal Whispers listeners, I made a discount code. It's the same for both events.
Okay.
But like I said, for the first one, it's $5 off the front row. We have 3 tickets left for the front row, and you can get your tickets at shepherd.eventbrite.com.
Okay, Shepherd.
And we have links on our other websites, too, to get to that.
Okay.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. I'm sure our listeners appreciate that, too.
Yeah, you said, not to interrupt you, you said you'll have your book there. Now, you never told me you had a book. What's the name of your book?
We just finished it. It's called Building a Bridge, A Guide to Spirit Communication. I wrote it with my fiancée, Jess, and right now we're self-publishing. We're in the process. We're talking with the publisher to have it published by them. We have it available electronically on CDs right now through events that we do and other events. So,
well, once you get that published, we'll have to have you on to talk about it.
Great. Yeah, I hope that's expedited and we get that done soon, but it took quite a while to write, and kind of proud of it. So
yeah, you're going to have to let us know what's going on with that. That way we can hook it up on our website, too.
All right, no problem.
All right, Western Pennsylvania Paranormal Conference 2009.
Now, this is
what I'm really excited about.
We are, too.
Now, this one's right down the road from where we're at. This is in Washington, PA, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have a little bit of...
Really
it seems like we got a delay.
From Wheeling.
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on with it? Who do we got? Sorry, there was like a little delay or something. Nick got confused.
Oh, it's okay. It's it's on May 30th, and we're opening the doors at 9 a.m. It's going to be at Julian's Banquet Hall downtown. Actually, a 100-year-old armory, so there's a little history with the building.
All right.
We like to get places like that. We're going to have 7 speakers on the technical and metaphysical aspects of the paranormal. We're going to have 1 cryptozoologist, and he was with us at Morgantown, too.
What's his name?
Kurt McCoy.
Okay. We were actually just talking with him. He's going to be coming on the show, I guess, sometime this summer.
Summer.
Yeah, actually, the gentleman that won the tickets last time we were on, he was talking about he loved him at the Morgantown conference.
Yeah, he wrote us a letter letting us know that we had to get this guy on the air.
Yeah, so
because he enjoyed him so much.
Kurt's great.
So who else you got?
We have Susan. Susan's going to be speaking, as well as she's going to be doing her message circle after the speakers. So she's going to be instrumental in the conference. We also brought back John Sable, and he's a cultural anthropologist.
Ooh.
And has tons of stories. He's helped produce movies, and he's got a lot of history. He's very engaging to listen to. We're bringing up Sharon Kincaid, and she's the founder of the South Atlantic Paranormal Society, and she's the ambassador of the Worldwide Paranormal Reporting Center for the state of South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And she's going to be talking about why she believes in the paranormal and improving the field. a little more localized in the area, we have Sean Kelly from the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society, which is one of the big paranormal groups in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Joey Ward from Georgia, and he's the director of the West Georgia Paranormal Research Society. So
Now,
he's got quite a drive. So
are these guys going to be speaking at it? Are they speakers?
Yes. Yeah, these are all speakers.
How long does this event last?
7. It is all day. Like I said, we're opening doors at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
The first speaker will go on around 10 o'clock. We're going to have 2 speakers, and we're going to have a break for lunch, and then we'll have 5 more and a break for dinner. And then that's when we get into the psychic circle with Susan Shepard. And she does that for around 2 hours usually. She tries to hit a lot of people. And then if you have any energy left after the long day, we're opening up the venue for paranormal investigation because, as I said, it is a 100-year-old armory.
Now, is
There's
this going
be a bunch of...
Is this going to cost anything extra above and beyond the ticket price?
There is a basic admission fee, and I broke it down to 3 different tickets this time just because I know some people came to the last one.
Yeah.
They didn't really want to do everything. They just wanted to do one thing.
Yeah.
So I broke it down to 3 separate admissions, and it breaks down into the basic admission, which will get you in to see all the speakers. You get to mingle with all the vendors. We have some really cool vendors coming this time. And so that's the big chunk. That's, a lot of the learning, a lot of the people who are getting into it or want to expand their knowledge.
Yeah.
Susan Shepard is the next thing, and that requires another admission. A lot of the technical people don't really get into the psychics and the mediums.
Yeah.
So that's why we separate that. And a lot of people are really into that, and they think that's really awesome. So
that
is
way,
an additional...
that way you're separating. You're cutting the price down for people who don't want to have to sit through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and what happened last time, we just had a basic ticket and an all-access ticket. And we ran into the problem, people would buy the all-access ticket, but they just wanted to do the paranormal investigation, not listen to Susan, or vice versa. They just wanted to see Susan and not do the investigation.
Okay, so how much are these tickets?
Well, our basic admission is $45, but we're giving all Whispers listeners 10% off, so around $40 right there. The first 6 people who register tonight are going to get a free Hypnotherapy Cd from a hypnotherapist in Pittsburgh, and that's sponsored by Visions Magazine Online. We have weight loss, stop smoking, stress relief. When you register, I'll send you an email. Just tell me what you want, and we'll get it out to you. So that's for the first 6 people who register tonight.
Wow.
So you can get a discount through listening to Whispers, and you can walk away with one of these CDs, which costs $15 a piece. So essentially, you can get a ticket for $25 tonight.
Wow.
And get something free. So Susan Shepard is $30, and the investigation, which entitles you to 3 hours, free range. I'm not going to tell you where you have to go or anything for the paranormal investigation, and that's only $15.
Oh, that's really good.
15?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you can't beat that.
So we really try to cut down the event and make it more affordable because we're trying to reach out to the community. I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun. We want people from Pittsburgh to come. We want people from Wheeling to come. Washington. We're trying to get everyone together and come out to this event. So we're trying to make it as affordable as possible this time.
Now, this is really close to Wheeling, so, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of response here. We've had, calls, people wanting to get involved, and, that's great. I'm really excited about this.
And I know on our website, whispersradio.com, we actually have this linked up. We have a banner up that says Western
Pennsylvania Paranormal Conference 2009.
And if you click on that, it'll take you straight to the... And go ahead and click on that, Jordan.
I'm clicking.
Click it now, and it's going to bring you up, and it's going to have your options of what you want. Now, do you have an all-access, that you did mention all-access, do you have an all-access? Let's say if somebody wants to go to all 3 of these, they can just put, click all-access and go to it?
We don't. You just have to drop down and put the amount of tickets you want on each one. So.
All right, and then at the bottom of that, it says discount code, correct?
Yep. It'll bring up a screen. It'll tell you everything, the prices, the fees for buying online, everything. It's real cheap, real easy. Right underneath all that, it says enter discount code. That's where you put the Whispers 12. And then right underneath that, it says order now.
Yeah, and that's all one word, right? Whispers 12?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all together.
Okay.
Easy to do.
The third-party web service we go through is really user-friendly, and it makes it easy. And all our sales are done through secure online
Yeah, you
So you don't have to
Visa,
worry about any of that.
MasterCard, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you heard it, everybody. First 6 people get a free hypnotherapy CD. Everybody gets 10% off. So get that going on tonight. Do what?
I said you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. That's awesome. We're really excited. Everybody get out there. May 2nd, meeting with Susan Shepard in Morgantown. And
now, where was that at again, if you don't mind saying that again? Where exactly in Morgantown was that one?
It's going to be right downtown in High Street. It's the High Street Banquet Center, more commonly known as the Lazy Lizard. At night, it's a club. During the day, it's a banquet center.
Okay.
And what's the date for the Western Pennsylvania Conference?
It's May 30th. It's the Saturday after Memorial Day.
All right, there it
so
is,
about
May
a week
30th.
later.
All right, everybody go out and buy your tickets right now. All right, thank you, Mr. Anthony, for joining us tonight, and we're going to keep you back updated as this gets closer and closer. Is that good?
Okay, great. Well, thanks
You're
for
going to have to
having
come
me
to
on
Willing.
again.
You're going to have to come to Willing and do something. You've been to Washington. You've been to Morgantown.
He's creeping closer. He's creeping
He's
closer.
invading.
We'll be the next
We'll
one.
get there eventually.
Get over the border.
See you, Anthony.
See you, Anthony.
Bye.
He's staying busy.
That's cool. We get our own discount promotion code. Who we got on the line, Lo?
That's Paula listening. That's all.
Hi, Paula.
Listening.
Is she still listening?
I'm sure she is.
All right, I want to hear from everybody out there because this is kind of what we were talking about over the break. Ouija boards. What do you think of them? What do you?
Paula, you're on the air.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Well, you know.
Are you still listening?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Okay, Ouija boards. Are they real? Are they fake? What are you opening up? Do you use them? I want to know your thoughts. Call us 304-214-1600, 866-514-1600.
I bet I'm the only person in this room that has never used a Ouija board.
I bet you're wrong.
You haven't either?
No.
We're blood brothers. Anybody else? Anybody?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
I have.
Okay, yeah. You haven't? We have... Okay. Yeah, we have someone else in here.
You and Eric.
Me and Eric. Why haven't you ever used one?
I just heard stories that freaked me out. So
Yeah, that freaked me out, too. I figure, why ask for trouble?
Yeah, why
like
mess?
driving down 666 and then driving back up, but after all that you're asking for trouble.
Paula, what do you think about Ouija boards?
They scare me.
Have you ever used one?
When I was a kid,
No.
yeah, and of course it was somebody else moving it, I'm sure, because it was slumber party and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I won't have one in my
Paula
home.
going to get kissed by John? Yes.
It's like, you will die.
No, they never said that kind of stuff. It was always, at slumber parties, you wanted to know who was going to have a boyfriend and who was going to get kissed. And
Am I going to marry Rick?
yeah.
Did any of this ever come true?
Heck no.
Look at us. Do you think it did?
Well, she could have kissed him. I don't know.
Well, we were talking about Mary Rich.
Oh, Mary Rich.
Radio Rich?
No,
Oh,
Mary
heavens.
Wealthy.
Oh,
These guys are like
oh,
dense. This is like being
I'm
trapped in
thinking
the
of a
forest.
name. I
I
don't
was
know.
too. I'm sorry.
Catch up.
I thought that was your
I know it.
husband's
They're
name.
lame.
What's
Marry into money.
So
Gotcha.
lame.
Oh, wow.
I would have asked that.
So
as-
tell me this: why do toy companies make Ouija boards?
Because it makes money.
That's right.
Because that's and I know they were selling them. I was actually at the Martin's Ferry with that toy store. And I was
They
looking
sell
for
'em
board games.
everywhere.
Yeah, they were right there. Now, I don't see them too often, like at Walmart or Kmart. I don't go to Kmart that much.
Okay, but you boycott stuff like Harry Potter toys. You boycott Barbie dolls. But it's okay to do a Ouija board.
Well,
And,
and
we're,
then
and we're going to the pen.
There's nothing wrong with the pen. It's fun.
Okay.
nobody's allowed to bring a Ouija board.
Oh yeah, if I see a Ouija board there, I'm gonna cry. I don't want to. Like, we're testing fate enough by going in and doing our thing and bringing a lot of people, and we have people scared to death that something's gonna follow them home.
Then let's invite more stuff.
Let's open up a door and to hell.
I'm more scared my church is going to disown me if they find out.
Our church knows we're going. We have people coming from it.
My dad's the pastor at my church.
You're doomed, Jordan.
We
Doomed.
tried to get them to go. Now they've also mentioning Ouija boards. There are also something out called angel boards, and I don't know if we've ever talked about those.
But
which
what's
is
the
just-
difference?
I
Really?
think they're exactly the same thing, except
Yeah.
for one of them you're trying to talk to angels now,
And it's probably pink.
Yeah,
I think
and
it
it's little
is,
angel
and-
wings instead of the typical triangle.
But do you
Yeah.
think just changing the name and changes what it is?
No,
No,
no.
it's the same thing.
Mine's an original 1928, but the stud in the planchette.
Can we get her mic on?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sorry.
Say
You
it-
gotta
say
get
it
up by
again
the
into
mic.
You
now,
got to get up
Barb.
right here
You
to the
gotta get
mic.
up.
This is Barb, by the way. Hey, Barb.
Hi.
You got to talk right up in it.
Yeah,
like
right
you
here,
need
like you're gonna kiss it.
Oh,
Don't kiss it though.
mine.
No, Sammy's been there. Don't kiss him.
Yeah.
it. She's sitting in Sammy's seat too. So.
Oh, I feel honored.
Okay.
I'm honored. I got the
You should
Sam seat. No, mine is an original 1928 Ouija board. It was my grandmother's, and in the planchette, it's not a like little stud. It's an actual diamond,
Wow.
Ooh.
and it's made of marble. The planchette itself is marble, and the board is coal, and it's overlaid with some kind of wood. So
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of freaky.
yeah.
And now, of course, today the boards are made out of cardboard.
Yeah.
The planchette's made out of plastic.
Right.
But here's what's
this
Here's
it's
what's going through my
marble.
head. Like, was she a witch? I don't.
Wow.
Well, back in those days,
Oh.
everybody owned Ouija boards.
But
they
I mean,
had
that's like-
seances on a regular basis.
That's
My
like
grandmother
hardcore.
believed in the power
deep.
of the earth. I'll just leave it at
What's
Now,
that.
the one thing I'm
now,
thinking-
that whole thing is made out of crystalline type rocks.
That's what I was gonna
which
say.
is exactly what Amanda uses in all of her practices.
My grandmother
Everything
believed
is
in
not evil, Jordan.
I just.
But the first thing, which one of you said? Was she a witch?
That was him.
That was me.
I would
I
never
mean,
go that way.
honestly,
Come
there
on,
are
George.
people that
Because-
believe in this that are not witches and we're
Weren't
not
they called
evil.
witch boards?
My mom was not a witch.
Why do we
okay?
associate with it?
But I thought Ouija boards. The original name was witchboard. What wasn't it called a witchboard?
Well, you got the internet there. Ask the internet.
Bum, 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 bum.
Now,
What does Ouija stand for?
Well, wait, I'm looking it up.
Ouija is which is French
Yes.
for yes. Ja, which is German for yes. So that's the way that that's the history behind the name.
Are you making stuff up?
I am not making that up.
think-
I bet you if you look that up, that's what it's going to say. You've got Ouija up there. Confirm me.
It's
doesn't-
also
This is
known as a
Wiki-
spirit board or talking board. Any flat board with letters, numbers, and other symbols used to supposedly communicate with spirits. Parker Brothers is who made it. Sold them.
When you get Parker's
mass
brother in
media.
there. Now, we played Ouija board on the Monopoly
The Ouija
board.
board is found in China around 1200 BC.
You will go to Baltic Avenue.
Divination method known as Fuji planchette writing. Other sources claim that, according to Greek historical accounts of the philosopher Pythagoras in
Pythagoras.
see, he reads all that crap.
The Pythagorean
His
theory.
sect would conduct
math.
seances at a mystic table moving on wheels. Anyway,
Anything
Okay,
there for the Ouija?
He was a triangle guy, though. What's he doing with
Well,
wheels?
it's math.
during the 1800s, planchettes were widely sold as a novelty. The businessmen Elijah Bond and Charles Kennard had the idea to patent the planchette sold with the board on which the alphabet was printed. Patent.
Make money.
Well, yeah, of course. Everything. It all comes back to money. That's why I was saying we could get the planchette out, put it on like Monopoly.
All right, yeah, you're right. The
Baltic Avenue.
Free parking.
Take,
you know,
take
you
a walk
act
on.
like this is,
I'm playing.
no, you're not.
Okay,
That's
I'm not.
The sad thing.
Yeah, I know I'm not.
She always
I just-
did
I don't
her
get-
herself.
Etymology
I don't
is
get
yes
enough-
and yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get that many rights here.
Grandma
I don't get
always
much
did
right at
hers
all.
herself. She didn't have to have anybody else touching it.
Oh, really?
She sat down in the evening and did this. It was her thing. After the whole
And nobody
day.
else had to be there at all.
No,
Huh?
no.
Well, it's just like tarot. You can read tarot alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the ancient Egyptian word means good luck.
Huh?
So, see, it's not evil.
I'm sorry.
I have a question,
Guys.
Sure.
if I can butt in.
Go ahead.
A triangle seems to be coming up a lot. Is there some symbolism with that? And because I forget what your interview, he mentioned triangle a couple times, I believe, and then the How do you say it? Planchette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a triangle shaped, kind of.
What's a heart? It actually has like.
Is it?
You see, I've now honestly never actually looked at
The
one.
real planchette looks like a
You have to come
heart.
up closer.
You got to eat the microphone.
Eat the microphone.
The real planchette looks like a heart, and in the middle of this heart is a piece of glass.
No.
Okay.
And inside the glass is the diamond.
I know. Going back, of course, we mentioned Pythagoras. Did you say he's associated with the triangle?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. I mean, going into the ancient Greeks and such, that math, is almost a mystical thing. We talked to Stefan Watani, and he talked about, a lot of his theory behind what Dreaming the Pyramid was associated with math. I mean, he, all kinds of numbers and stuff, and the pyramid itself being the epitome of that.
Yeah, I think.
So.
Yeah. So we don't know.
Yeah, I just know math's a really.
We're trying to talk around it. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's you got 3 sides and there's 3.
It's pointy.
Yeah, I mean what does it all add up to? 180 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a break. Collect ourselves.
Yeah,
We'll be right back. AM 1600 WKKX, Valley's Watchdog. Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. As you know, our second hour is dedicated to call-ins, and we'd love to hear from you, what you feel about Ouija boards or spirit boards, however you want to call it. Give us some ghost stories. Give us something to chit-chat about. Give us a call, 304-214-1600, 866-514-1600.
What I want to know is, would anybody go on a ghost tour of the Capitol?
Me.
I know you would.
I forgot she was even on the air. I was like, what happened?
I've easily forgotten.
I'm sorry,
I know
Paula.
you would, but
One
I'm
of you
just curious.
calls somebody's grandma a witch. One of you forgets about me.
I know. Aren't they brilliant?
But you know, Paula, that I didn't forget about you.
I know, darling.
I just
know.
wasn't
And I know why
expecting
you
the
thought it was
voice
Witch
there.
Board. I knew why you thought it was called Witchboard. You were thinking of that movie and Tawny Tan. You were just thinking about Tawny.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of his knowledge of all this stuff comes from his extensive repertoire of horror movies. I mean,
it's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie.
He's watched the worst movies you can think of, and I'm not talking like blood and guts. I'm talking just bad movies. He doesn't even watch B movies; it's C movies at this point. It's you mentioned his titles.
Whatever Blockbuster stocks its shelves with, that's usually what ends up.
He just started at the top shelf and started going down.
The 59-cent shelf.
Yeah. So it's with this kind of stuff. I mean, it is something that a lot of people won't touch at all. It's something you've almost got to go out and look for too, to find them. I mean, like I said, Walmart doesn't stock them. The only place I've only seen them actually at one place around here.
KB Toys.
Does KB Toys stock them?
I think.
Toys R Us.
Toys
About
R
Toys
Us.
R Us.
I was gonna say I bet you so. I know that's the only place I found was over
All right.
Martin's Ferry.
Lola asked the question.
Would I go? I'd love to go there.
What are some stories? See, I'm not from this area.
Barb,
I've
you have
only lived here about 6 years.
You have to sit up and get by the mic if you're going to talk. You got to get it.
If
Move
you're
it to
telling
you.
me,
You can move it to you.
It won't hurt you.
what is your experience, Barb, at the Capitol?
I started working
A little
in the
bit closer.
Capitol. I started working at the Capitol when I was 13 years old at the concession stand. And after the shows at night, we would clean up till 3 or 4 in the morning. Clean up the theater and everything. And the stage, you could be in the back and you would see this white figure just walking across, lit, but never truly touched the ground. It was like you could see through it. And it would just walk across, and it would be like a ball of light, but it would keep going. And down in the bottom of the Capitol, I don't know if a lot of people know this, it used to be a bowling alley.
Really?
Yes, there was a bowling alley down there. And before it caught on fire and they had to tear it out, the lane. I think it was lane 7 or 8. I can't remember which one. But when you would throw the ball, it would make like funny flashes and stuff, and it would stick. And it wouldn't come back, and then all at once it would come flying back at you. So nobody would use those 2 lanes, you know? Oh, what else? Oh, gosh. We used to climb up. We weren't supposed to. But we would climb up the ladder to go to the roof to watch the fireworks on the 4th of July because they would be on the island. And you could go up this ladder, and when you were halfway up the ladder, you could look down and see the lighting board, or the lights. They were all on, you know, their little thingies. And apparently years before, a man had fallen, hit the lights, and got hurt or passed away. I'm not sure. But I never saw that myself. But you'd be going up the ladder and somebody'd say, oh, look, there it goes. It's fallen. It's fallen. But the lights would move. So there's like 3 things right there that from the time I was 13 until I quit working there at 18 that happened. I saw the lady.
How often did you see it?
I saw the lady twice. I only saw the lights move once. And the bowling alley thing, I didn't actually see it. When I turned around, they were like, oh, look.
Yeah.
But I saw the lady twice.
What about the guy in the balcony?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, what?
Scary. Scary stuff. You would go up there and nobody would be there.
Yeah.
Nobody would be there. And you could be, we used like leaf blowers to blow all of this stuff down to the front to clean it up. And you could hear this guy, and you could smell him smoking cigarettes. I'm not a kid. You could smell him smoking cigarettes and stuff. And one time, my friend Becky and I, which the girls usually didn't stay and do the night crew, but it was good money. So we were doing the balcony, and she turned around, and she just was like pale, just pale. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, there's an old man up here in the corner. We got to get him out of here. It's like 2 a.m. And I was like, Beck, there's nobody here.
So she really saw an old man sitting there.
She saw an old man sitting there, smelled the scar. And I'm like, you know what? Come on. She showed me where she saw him. She left. She wouldn't even finish the night. She left.
Wow.
So, I mean, the Capitol has so much stuff. There was a sound man there that, oh, he was just wonderful. He used to bring in maraschino cherries that he would soak in vodka for like 3 weeks and bring them in. But he was a very warm, very affectionate man. Loved his job. He passed away at a heart attack during one of the radio shows that they had on Saturday nights, Jamboree. And he passed away during the show. And for the longest time, Buddy Ray was the announcer back then. He would see him, and he would say, there's Dawn. But Dawn wasn't there. Of course, we all, you know.
Assumed he was drinking.
Right. Yeah. Buddy was kind of, you know. But, yeah, there's a lot of wild stories connected with the Capitol. And I think spending the night there would be awesome.
Now, is there a lot of reports of people that have died there, do you know? Or is anybody even heard? You mentioned 1, possibly 2 if the guy fell into the lights.
I think most of the reports are that the EMTs came there, took them away, and they died.
And they died, okay.
Right.
And I know a lot of
We had
theaters.
a case where the night Dolly Parton came to perform. A man was out to get her, and he was dressed as a woman. And Dolly was going up to perform. This man was dressed as a woman. This happened, I think I was like 14, so he was like stalking her. And she got out on the stage, and apparently the guy had, I'm sure you can look it up on news reports and stuff, he was going to hurt her. And she went to get up on the stage, and she tripped and fell. And they caught the guy. She insisted that somebody pushed her.
Wow.
Insisted that somebody pushed her. And they caught the guy, and they pulled him past us because I was working at the concession at the time.
Yeah.
It was a man dressed as a woman, and she said somebody pushed her out of the way. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
Now, and you know, the point was brought up over the break, you know, the renovations that's going on there and ongoing, you know, there's always a increase in activity, you know, as renovations and remodeling goes on. Now is like the best time to go and do that if we were able.
Oh, man, that'd be great. If for some reason renovations make them, I don't think they like it.
Yeah, they get a little restless.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. Willings, I think the name isn't the name like the Place of Skulls or something. Is somebody?
I think it's like the Valley of the Skull or Place of the Skull.
Yeah, it's an Indian word. I can't. It's on the sign down the road here. But I'm thinking, you know, if you advertised it, you know, Willing, the Place of the Skull, or the Valley of the Skulls, you know,
the haunted capital,
the Valley of the Skulls
Skull.
ghost hunt or, you know, ghost tour or something.
They
Yeah,
could
I mean,
pay for the renovations.
Oh yeah, I mean it's people would come in droves, and there's so many old buildings around here. You know that you could, if we could get into them or even just walk past them. I mean, a lot of these tours are walking tours. Just walk past. They don't even go into places. You know, then as long as they know the stories behind it and stuff. I mean,
somebody out there wanting to make some money, learn your history.
We could go do this. We could go to the library.
Would be good.
Nick, that would involve walking.
Yeah.
Golf cart tours. What do you think, Lo?
Golf cart tours of Willing.
Instead of walking tours, we can do golf cart tours.
That's the only way you're going to get me around.
But I'm saying you go down. I'm thinking the Victoria Theater. That's been around for a while.
Yeah.
You've trying to think of some of the North Willing.
Towngate Theater.
Towngate Theater. I know I've heard some stories of hauntings there.
The whole Victorian section.
Yeah, North Willing would be. There's so many stories out of North Willing. I mean, it's unbelievable.
WKKX Studio.
Yeah, one day we'll find that one.
I believe there's a ghost in this building. When you walk in
so
here,
does Lo.
you can feel it. You can feel a heaviness when you walk in here. I mean, it's like, ugh.
She's on the phone now, but she'll say, you know, when she's down here by herself, that she feels somebody behind her, that she can, you know, send somebody
Has
here.
anybody spent the night here and tried to communicate?
I don't think we've been talking about doing it. We should do that one night. If you're ever up for it, Luke, would you be willing to do that? Number one, spend the night, see if we can find anything.
Well, sure, I would do it.
Do you think they would let us?
Slept here. John sleeps here all the time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever happened to John.
No,
that we know
nothing's
of.
ever happened to him.
Yeah.
But is he
But
open
things have
to it?
happened to him and Marianne, but not in the middle of the night.
Now, what has happened to them?
Around by the vault and just beyond it, where the bathroom is, they've had papers like slapped out of their hands. And Mike and his girlfriend were here one night late at night. Doors were slamming without any doors being open and
You
closed.
hear stuff in the bathroom all the time.
I know.
I
know,
do.
but I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know.
I know the breaker box is in there, but it's nothing clicking in the breaker box. You hear noises in there.
Yeah, I know it. Well, we've got Gary on the phone.
Gary, how we doing?
Gary, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, my sister got one for Christmas, a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so her and I played it.
Yeah.
And I would tell her, you're dragging me. You pull me. You know, it would go right to what she wanted it to go to.
Really?
And I said, you're pulling me. And anyhow, her and my mom would play it. It would go everywhere they wanted it to. Spell anything, any numbers, you ask him any question about what year, it would go right there until I told them to close their eyes. With their eyes open, they danced across the floor like they were dancing. It could be on TV right now on one of the shows. But no, with the eyes closed, I'd see my sister squinting her eyes and everything. I'd see her peeking. Truthfully, I don't believe in it at all. She pulled me, her and my mom. I know she pulled my mom. My mom believed in it.
So you don't believe in it at all? Not at all? It's all made up?
No, both of them did. I don't believe in it. When I told them to close their eyes, you know, it didn't work till my sister was squinting and peeking out. You know, they go straight to everything. Right now, 1947, right now, eyes closed, took forever.
Huh.
All right, well, I don't believe in it, but it's a good show.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Well, and that's interesting because, you know, I'm sure a lot of people fake.
I'm thinking, wonder if your subconscious has something to do with it. You know, if you
it's
if
got
you
to.
asked I want to, will I marry a rich guy, And of course, you're going to be yes.
Yeah.
You drag it out on over, you know.
The homely looking kid in the corner.
Or if you have bad self-esteem, no. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you actually don't have to have your fingers.
Or go back up. You have to come up to the. Don't
you
forget that.
You actually don't have to have your fingers upon it. You have to have your hands above it. To get it to work the way my grandma did, you don't have to touch it.
So your grandma didn't touch it at all. She just like hovered above it and it would move around.
She would cross her hands like this, and
she's got one hand on top of the other.
And do it.
Okay. And
she
now,
never actually touched it.
Now you've seen this happen before, where she'd put her hand on top of it and it would move without her touching it.
I saw it one time. I was about 6 years old, and I ran in the other room and never watched her again. But
now, what kind of questions would your grandma?
She spoke Polish. I don't know. Yes, good. But her hands were not, That
would make it even scarier.
They were crossed like this, and she would just go like this, rotate them, and it would move. Now she would be right above it. She wasn't like up here, but never actually put her fingers.
Was this used? And Lola, you said that back then everybody had one. Was this you? Was it purely for a game? Was it like seance stuff? Was it a religion thing?
No, it wasn't a game. It was, to her, it was some kind of every night thing that you did before you went
ritual.
To bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a game. It wasn't a. No, it was very serious.
Back in like the 20s and 30s, particularly, though, a lot of wealthy people really got sucked into this kind of stuff. I think Houdini had something to do with seances. And,
I've heard that.
And so it became very popular.
And there's a big spiritualist movement.
Most of those people were.
Well, I'm thinking Arthur Conan Doyle. I think he stopped writing because he got so involved into like the fairy photographs and going into doing these seances constantly and everything. Then they were really involved taking spirit photographs. That's what I was trying to think of. Trying to get pictures of like your dead relatives in your picture with you and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of money.
Yeah, people did.
And what I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you were talking about the crystals. I'm wondering, you were talking about she used crystals, Amanda DeShong.
Yeah, she.
And I'm wondering if there's anything with if you're putting your hands over top like she was doing that. She's channeling,
concentrating your energy
like that. If that's able to get, because it had a real diamond in it.
Yeah, diamonds are the hardest crystal there is.
So
I wonder what energy, because you get like quartz runs like half of our existence. Our watches, our clocks, or
you need to
VCRs.
Really. When Amanda comes on with us, she'll explain all of that kind of stuff too. Rose quartz is one that you should use for unconditional love and calmness and things like that. And there's all different kinds of things. Now, if you go to her, say to have your chakras balanced, you sit in front of this whole table of crystals that are sitting on pieces of leather that have come straight from like a Native American gave her this because he sensed her abilities and things like that. And she lets you just kind of look at them and get the feel of them, and you choose the ones that, your body, it's kind of like your body energy is choosing the crystals that your body needs. It's bizarre. I mean, it really
almost
is.
Almost kind of like vitamins and minerals you need. That's what you're saying.
People walk around, they have like the copper or magnetic bracelets that are supposed to help their blood flow and
this is
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why? But it's like the same kind of aspect to it,
Yeah.
Except for more spiritual side than medical side.
I'll tell you, when I got my chakras balanced, that was one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had.
And this is going to sound.
It was really, really.
Was it bizarre because, it's the atmosphere that you were going into, and that that it's unique and it was something you'd never done before, or
Time went by like that, and I was there like an hour and a half.
Sure.
All right, here's another question: what is a chakra?
It's points of energy down your body. I think that goes back to probably Hindi or something is part of it. The third eye that you've talked about and that kind of stuff, that's right up up here in your forehead. And then your heart chakra and your I don't know I don't know all the names of them, but it's the different points of energy in your body. And what she does is she chooses these crystals that your body kind of chooses, and then you just lay there. You don't do anything, and just close your eyes. And she places these crystals at your feet, on your thighs, I think on your calves, one under each hand, and your arms are down at your sides. One on your stomach, one on your heart, and one on your third eye.
And now when you got there, you picked which ones were going to go on your body.
Well, she kind of let me look at them, and then she chose, because it was like kind of like my body was telling her.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
And
so you weren't going like, I want the unconditional love one. Yeah.
No. That's what you do. Like if you're going to get jewelry made or something, you know, you would ask her, and she can, advise you as to what kind of crystals will help with different things.
What rock represents what thing.
And then she just, it's real quiet. There's like real soft music playing in the background, and she just prays and meditates over you. And then it just is. It was. I can't even describe, really, the sensations that you feel as this is going on, and the things that you see on the back of your eyelids, and it's just...
Has it helped you, like, stabilize?
I don't know. I'm a mess anyway. Look what... I mean,
she
really,
puts up with us every week. Look at her.
Well, but
she
look
has to
at
go and
the time
readjust it
frame that I
constantly.
went. I went, I think... the weekend before George passed. So my mom had just passed, and then George, and then Todd. So I haven't had any stability since the beginning of January when my mom got real sick. So, did it help? Who knows how bad I'd be if I hadn't had it done.
I know, like right after that happened, I don't know if this is the time period, but you seemed kind of relaxed. You seemed a lot more relaxed and stuff. Then, of course, everything else happened, and that kind of, had to have thrown chakras out of...
Well, out of alignment, yeah. Well, she had told me, too, one of the first times she walked in here, that my aura looked like fireworks for the 4th of July, that I just had energy bursting because I was being pulled in all these different directions, and then all this other crap happened.
Oh, I want to know what my aura looks like.
Well, she'll tell you that when she
You were
comes
all
in.
happy and waiting for that today, weren't you?
I was a little.
Oh, it is.
It is one of those things you kind of wonder what's going to happen.
All right, Nikki, next week.
Next week we have the weird U.S. Gentleman.
Mark Morin and Mark Scorman.
Oh, my gosh. Paula, I'm going to hang you up, okay?
Okay, honey.
Bye,
Thanks.
Paula.
All right, I'll talk
Bye,
to you
Paula.
later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
They wrote Weird U.S., Weird New Jersey, and Weird a whole lot of other states.
Now, there's not a weird West Virginia, so if you've got your weird West Virginia stories, you need to get those ready for next week. We'll have them on.
And some of the stuff they pull out is like unknown stories, facts, places.
Like they would have the prison. They'd have to have the prison there.
Ghost towns, little
Maybe the
villages
capital.
where circus freaks live. That's in one of the books.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff. If you got Books A Million, your chances of finding it there are very good.
I've got my Mothman for President T-shirt.
Oh, they'd have to have
Nice.
Mothman for that.
Nice. And I heard you and Bill talking about Mothman earlier. It made me feel a little special.
Yeah. Right.
Lola talked about me on another show.
Yes, I did.
All right, everybody, that's all we got for this week. Until next time, don't be afraid, only believe.